if you don't know, now you know. You better get yourself in the flow. And if you don't think that you can, you better find Rob Rant. The Rob Rant Show. The Rob Rant Show. And if you don't know, now you know. The Rob Rant Show. The Rob Rant Show. And if you don't know, now you know.
This is Rob Bell. And this is Rob Rant. Good afternoon. I'm Rob Bell, and this is Rob's Rant. Today's Rob's Rant episode has to do with the black church. I was looking at a YouTube video today, and someone mentioned on the YouTube that collectively the black church generates $11.5 billion a year through its collection from members of the black community. $11.5 billion. That's a lot of money. And when you talk about generating money like that and the responsibility that the black church has to the black community, I would think that there will be some improvements made in the community based on the amount of money that the black church could probably make in contributions to organizations that are trying to make improvements to playgrounds, to educational institutions, to swimming pools, to social service agencies, to grassroots agencies. But they're not. Why not? Because the black church is selfish. Over the years, the black church has been a staple in the black community. Way back in the day, the black church was the only thing that black people had in terms of any stability to help us get through the hard times of slavery and even after slavery. But now, all of a sudden, the black church done pulled his big boy pants up and has decided that all of the money that it has generated throughout the years for our community goes into the pockets of the preachers, goes into the pockets of the respective churches that are in these communities collecting money every Sunday and making these men rich. I'm not going to make or start to name names because I don't want to embarrass anybody. But you know who they are. You turn on your television set, you watch your internet broadcast, you know who these men are. Filthy rich. Mega churches, airplanes, mansions. You know who these men are. And women, by the way. But not a peep from near one of them, as we say in our community. Not nary one of them is giving up any money for the development of the black community. Now, when we talk about this issue of violence, which I've been talking about the entire time that the Rob's Rant and the broadcast news and Agents for Change network has been broadcasting over these airwaves, not one time have I talked about the contribution of the black church. Oh, I'm asking for the government to give us assistance. I'm asking for Washington to stick their nose in, and local and state governments to stick their nose in and help these grassroots organizations with some finance so we can try to quiet down this violence. And that's a long haul because they're making us go through all kinds of processes in order for us to get that money. Meanwhile, the black church is sitting on $11 billion and they haven't reared their ugly head to give anybody a cent. I find that devastating. It's a tragedy that our own people, given the circumstances, are not even lending a helping hand. Why? Because like everybody else, they're greedy. Money corrupts people. And they're supposed to be the religious faction of where we are in this world. They're supposed to have a better understanding of how greed and money from a religious standpoint corrupts us. But what do? They turn around and stick that money right into their pocket. You ought to be ashamed of yourself, the black church. You ought to be ashamed of yourself, black ministers and preachers, for taking that money and not reinvesting it into our communities to help make lives better. Some people come to church every Sunday and pay their tithes and can't even pay their rent. Lights are going out. Can't even feed their children. But you expect them to pay their tithes. And at the same time, when it's your turn and it's your responsibility to give back and help with the demise of our community, what do? You sit back like everybody else and take advantage and live good and live well, and the beat goes on. I'm embarrassed. You should be too. Get better with this, or we're just going to simply stop coming to church and giving our tithes. This is Rob Bell, and this is Rant.